given the last two videos talking about some of the planned breedings coming up and knowing what's left, giving what I work with. I'm sure some of y'all have been anxiously waiting for this week's video, because we're going to be talking about the jungle pairings that I have planned for this season. So let's hang out and talk about some jungle carpets. So first off, the first male involved in the first of what will be a potential 5 pairings planned for this season is my male MIA jungle. And these came to me via way of Martin Roseman. Martin Armorelia facilitated the distribution of these animals. If you're not familiar with the story on the MIA jungles, I actually made a video about it a few years ago, so I'll see if I can find it and pop a card up in the corner for y'all to click it. It kind of talks about the history. Otherwise, you can look up Martin Roseman. He's posted about the history of these, but they're essentially a new bloodline to the United States that came in a few years ago, and I jumped on a pair. So this is my male. They kind of have a dirty, natural jungle look to them, if you will. I've seen a few other people's that are similar but vary quite a bit. They tend to have a really distinct, clean, like different colored yellow in the face, which is pretty neat, but the rest of them tends to be rather kind of dirty. And there were 2 males and 1 female, so this is from the first of those 2 males. But either way, I acquired these animals because new bloodlines of jungles to the United States hadn't happened since before I was born, almost. So yeah, jumped on them. And they weren't cheap, and they won't be in the future if I'm lucky to produce them. My first goal is to produce some pure MIA lines, and if you don't know what that means, that's from Miami International Airport, where they were confiscated, where the originals were confiscated from. So that's how the name of the line has come about, and this is the male to that pair. So without further ado, let's look at the female, because with 5 pairs, 10 animals, this video is about to be long. This beautiful gal right here is the female half of my MIA jungle acquisition, and yes, she is quite a bit larger, although I have been feeding her to breed this season. But look at her. She's wicked. And she too has that dirty jungle look. You just, you don't see it quite as much far away, but up close you can really see it. But it kind of makes for a different look at jungle. One way or another, it's nice diverse bloodlines, and there's a lot of value in that alone. The unique look is just an added bonus. And again, very bright, gorgeous, clean head there. I would imagine a little bit of refinement. You could probably select a breed to get some of the mud out of the dorsal there, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, there you go. Now it's real subtle. It's quite natural, actually, and a lot of people really like that look because we've sort of selectively bred for cleanliness. We've gotten away from sort of that natural look. This girl almost has a blend of the two, being very bright and still a little dirty, but with any luck, you'll get a nice clutch of eggs out of the pair from the male you just saw paired to this girl, and maybe we'll make some spectacular new jungles this year. So wish me luck. All right, so the first animal to make their appearance in shed, which there's always 1 or 2, is my tried and true deep in blue zebra male. He's a 2015 produced by SBK Reptiles. He's produced at least 3 clutches for me, if not more. Great breeder, wonderful animal. Little twitchy, a little herky-jerky, just kind of bopped me in the face there without trying. Friendly guy, doesn't like to bite. Great eater. Never had any issues with him. Has a lot of black to him. In the 3 different seasons that I bred him to the same female zebra, I've gotten 3 different results in terms of what the zebra's resulting look like. Anything from aberrant patterns to bold patterns to thin patterns, lots of black like him, to dorsally striped. So he's a fantastic breeder. I love him. He's been a staple around here for a long time. And yeah, we're going to do something fun this year with him, something that I've never done in terms of a genetic pairing. And we're going to put him in the mix with an animal he's never bred before. But given he is a stud breeder who always gets the job done, I'm very confident with at least his end of the bargain. So without further ado, why don't we take a look at his date for this year. Now, if any of y'all have watched my channel or seen me before in the last few years, you'll know this girl. This is Black Dahlia, my female super zebra that I hatched out 5 years ago with jet black eyes and a perfect tail. There you go, perfect tail. Let's see if we can show it off a little better. I don't know if I have anybody who doubts me on it, but I'd like to make sure there are no doubts. Look, she even uses it to wrap around me, the whole 9. Fully prehensile, no docking, no anything. No idea where her black eyes come from. She has her moments where she can be real dodgy and real super zebra-y, where they're just not friendly and they just act like wild snakes and they just don't want to be messed with. She's produced a clutch for me before with mediocre results, but I'm hoping this year will be better. Although maybe I'm screwing myself because, as you probably figured out, I'm planning on putting that zebra male we just looked at back to her. So a zebra to a super zebra genetically should yield 50% supers and 50% normal zebras. But the thing with zebras is nothing ever seems to go normal and right with them. You'll have all sorts of fecundity, fertility, parturition issues, all sorts of weird slugs, eggs that crash for no reason, right? It just doesn't make sense. There's no genetic reason why it shouldn't work. Outcrossing seems to help, but even then, not as well as you would think. So I'm throwing my hat in the ring to see what happens this year and see what we can figure out by pairing her with a zebra that happens to be her dad. But yeah, it's my big girl. Love the snake. For my 3rd pairing of jungles this year, we will be starting off, per tradition, looking at the male. This is my male super zebra, who is a full sibling to the last female super zebra we looked at. Came from the exact same clutch. That was my dream clutch, where I first sought out to make my own super zebras, and not only did I do it, but I made a pair. So I kept the pair. You've seen the female. She's got beautiful dark black eyes and a perfect tail. This guy, although his eyes are dark and they seem close to black, if you were to look up close, hers are a little bit nicer. And his tail has needed some attention. However, it's gotten better with age. That used to be a full 90-degree knuckle right here. It used to literally just drink, and then at the end it was folded and wadded over, and his very first shed, the shed under the little nub that was folded, got caught. And if you know anything about how that will go in the future, it will continue to do that and cause potential infections if not tended to. So I made the decision very early on to put an antiseptic, numb that tail, and dock it as a baby. Its first shed, not even 2 weeks old. And that sounds harsh, but what it's done is it's completely prevented any future infection from cropping up, any other issues, shed issues or otherwise. He didn't react when I did it. He was too young. It sounds cruel, like I said, but it's for the better of him in the future. And he's 5 years old, and this will be his first time meeting a female. So I do have an interesting plan for him this year to see if he's ready to breed. So let's take a look at his future female date. This beautiful love. I've affectionately named Heiress because she is the heiress to the throne that my original jungle female Azteca, her full-blood sister, kind of reigned around here, reigned supreme. She was the queen bee, and I never hurt more when that snake passed. And this girl comes by way of my mentor and good friend Todd Dyer of Psychotic Exotics, as did Azteca. And when she passed, I reached out to him to apologize because I failed that snake. I'd overfed it a bunch when it was young, and she died way too early. And from what I could discern, it was renal failure, kidney failure, some sort of organ failure, and she was only about 11 years old. So way too young. This is a literal sibling, same clutch and everything, same lineage and everything. I mean, it's crazy. When he sent her to me, I cried because she looks just like her in the face and everything, and color. Markings are a bit different, but everything is very much reminiscent of Azteca. So this is Heiress. She's the heiress to my jungle throne. She produced a beautiful half clutch last year. Obviously, you know, last year was Slugzilla. So the 7 babies that came out are all friggin' phenomenal. They're all trophies. And we're going to do it again. But this time we're going to see if that super zebra boy has what it takes to do some breeding around here. And see if we can't make some zebras with this beauty, see what her influence on the zebra mutation might have with all these beautiful florets and irregular markings and phenomenal color. Her paired to a super zebra would obviously result in 100% zebras. So we'll see. Maybe we'll get lucky, have no zebra-related fertility or fecundity issues, and get a full healthy clutch and see what we do. If that's the case, we're going to have a lot of zebras next year. All right, on to the 4th. For pairing number 4, we are going to be starting out looking at Racer 5 here. He is a 2019 self-produced striped jungle male. Ironically, the father of these potential ocelot babies that we produced last year. Kept him for his stripes and rich blacks, and didn't really think much about the ocelots, and here I am sitting on 13 holdbacks of potential ocelot babies for a project that I had no intentions for. But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're talking about this future pairings. So this guy, this year, is going to be in rotation. He's a proven breeder. He did just shed. He's been maturing nicely, and his colors have kind of gotten more into like well, he definitely shows off his ivory Vandevenner blood in there nicely from his lineage, where some of the dorsal tends to be a different color than the flanks. So he's got a nice color that's been matured pretty well. So I'm hoping the babies will double up on that. But we've got some good plans for him this year. I'm going to repeat one of last season's pairings that produced these striped ocelot babies, just to see if, 1, it's reproducible with at least one of the females, and 2, to see if we get, you know, a fuller clutch. Again, last year was slug NATO, and see if we can't get a few more, reproduce the results perhaps, and see if anything changes in terms of my interpretation of what's going on. And so yeah, this dude's going to be in the rotation again. So I'm not really releasing any of those striped ocelot babies this year. There's 2 people who are going to join me in the project, but I'm not really releasing them. I feel like they're still going to be mine with them, even though they're theirs. They will be anyway. It'll be a way to keep a tab on the project without having to bear the burden of all 13 babies. So with that in mind, this is the dad to that, and we're going to do one more batch of them for the time being and see what we can come up with. So this is Racer 5, and yes, he is named after a beer. Yo, easy girl. So this girl, full sibling female to Racer 5, the male we just looked at, the dam to our first clutch of these possible striped ocelot babies from last season, and a 2019 holdback of my own production of striped jungles. Again, full sibling to Racer 5, proven breeder after last season. and I would like to duplicate the results and see what we can do. See if we get some consistency in results, improvement in results, whatever it may be. I want to know. And I want to make more jungles and more stripes, because what's wrong with that? So this beautiful girl has been eating like crazy, been slamming her full of large rats, just like most of the females that are, actually all the females. All 16 females that I have going this year have been eating every week unless they're in shed, and getting some big girl meals. We're going big. Carpet python production just needs to go up. I find myself needing more animals, especially more jungles every year, to sell to you wonderful people who keep craving for them. So, but yeah, this clutch will be more about replicating results, making more available, hopefully getting more understanding of what might be going on with this potential side project, and yeah, making more beautiful jungles. So for those of you who are interested in waiting and earlier heard me talking about how those aren't going out this year, have faith. Next year there should be more. All right, fifth and final jungle pairing for the year coming up. This next male jungle, I didn't anticipate coming up available, although when it was first hatched and I saw who bought it, I knew I missed out. Lo and behold, it's come back around, and this absolutely stunning striped jungle boy, produced by Matt Mueller, was sold to me by the original buyer because he needed money, hard times, whatever, and regrettably had to let this one go, and I couldn't pass it up. This animal has obviously insanely jet blacks and crazy bright yellows. If you're aware, I have a thing for stripes, and so this animal stripe is very, very nice and should blend into some of the projects I already have going. But if you're familiar with Matt Mueller, you'll know some of the classic jungle lines he works with, and this comes from a Mercury GFX, which is a highlighter soul glow pairing, paired with Jerry Hecate, or Hecate, however you want to pronounce that. But it's a very notorious jungle pairing from some old school stuff, and yeah, happy to have my hands on this animal. I've got a smattering of all the photos and bits of other people's lineage charts and things like that to go together for this animal, but he's got stacked lineage. I just need to sit down and put it all together in a chart one of these days. But I don't assume Matt's watching, but if you are, Matt, this animal is stunning, and we need to talk, because this is nuts, bro. This is amazing. So I've seen you on Fauna Classifieds posting out there still. One of these days I'll reach out when I'm not ADDing and forgetting what I'm doing. But amazing animal, very happy to have him in my my population, and we'll see if he's up to the task for breeding this year. So if he's breeding and he's a striped jungle, then the fifth and final female is probably not going to be much of a surprise to you next to wrap this up. So we're going to look at her, and I'm going to preclude this. She's in shed, unfortunately, but you'll get the idea. As you guessed it, my fifth and final jungle pairing of the year will be another striped jungle pairing. I did warn you, this girl is deep in shed, so she is very brown and dull and grumpy with me. But this girl has come a long way from being an insanely stress ball animal to thriving, to opening up, to becoming a healthy, happy snake and breeding for me. When she hatched, she was super shy, didn't want to eat, and then as she grew, she would not leave her baby tub into anything bigger. Anytime I upgraded her, she would stress out and go off of food. So eventually, at around 2 years old, at 2 years old, when I'm cramming her in a little 6-quart tub and she literally couldn't fit, I took that tub and put it in a bigger bin and just let her figure it out. And eventually she started eating in that. And we moved that bin into a bigger one, and so on and so forth. And we've upgraded her, but she does not like being in displays. She does not like being in glass front cages and closers. She will never, ever have a good time in a glass front like AP enclosure or vision or anything. She just doesn't like it. She likes to be buried in hides and mulch and is very vocal and hissy and stressed. So, but she produced some amazing striped possible ocelot babies from last season. Just phenomenal, absolutely stellar knockout babies. So with the previous male we just looked at, figure we'll see how much his striping and color potential can pass along to some future babies, because we know she can pass on the stripes and the ocelots, but we'll see what his pattern and everything can do, and maybe further my future eventual goals of making tri-striped jungles, although I'm not going to complain about having popped up a potential ocelot project. So, but that is the 5th and final female in rotation this year for the jungle carpets that I'm doing. That makes 5 pairs, 5 males, 5 females. Hopefully it's going to be a good year. So that concludes the preview of this year's potential jungle pairing. 5 potential pairings, 5 males, 5 females. Only one of them is a repeat. The rest should be all brand new pairings. So I'm very excited for whatever results we may get. Obviously baby season is always good, but new babies from new projects, can't complain. So without taking this any longer than it already has gone, I'm going to take off. Be sure to go check out Heli Guy Serpents. They'll get you some awesome 3D printed stuff. For those of you who love those like wood log hide, he's got 3D printed versions of those in plastic, so you never have to deal with moldy wood log hide texture and everything. Go check them out. I've got some awesome perching and stuff on the way coming for a project that I've been working on here, so eventually that will be coming up on here, so keep an eye out for that. So definitely go get your 3D printed awesome perching and amazing snake enrichment and furnishings from Heli Guy Serpents. Use code RR10 to save 10% off at checkout. If you're doing any shipping this year, please go ship with Reptiles Express. There's a lot of reptile shipping companies popping up there these days, and no slouch to any of them, but they're all going to give you temporary discounts and things like that, and then after a short time, that's it, unless you buy in some atrocious amount of money every month or something like that. Reptiles Express doesn't do that. They just reward you for using them. Just use them. They're going to give you the best rates, and over time you get better rates for spending money with them. They can break it down, get you even more. And if you want to get a head start on that, use code Riley50 to get 50% off traditional FedEx shipping rates. You will be able to use that for up to 10 codes per customer, up to 10 labels. So go take advantage of those savings and then get yourself rolling on the basically permanent savings that you will have with Reptiles Express. They're fantastic. I've been using them for over 5 years and they're the best. No slouch to anybody else, but I love Reptiles Express. Check them out. Use code Riley50. They've got a sister company, premiumcrickets.com. They're wonderful. They do a lot of shipping bugs to your door. So if you're in the Southeast United States, they're pretty local to y'all, and they'll ship stuff to you. So use code Riley15 to get 15% off your order at checkout. They're wonderful. Crickets, roaches, you name it. Check out their website. Check out their Instagram. I'll have all that information below here. And if you aren't a member of USARK in USARK Florida, please go join, become a member. Membership matters. They're the lobbying bodies for the United States and Florida as a whole that work to fight against unjust legislation to allow us to keep these reptiles that we work with and educate with and do so much fun stuff with. So the least we can do is go support them. And while we're on the topic of support, if you want to support what we're doing here, join us. Patreon, Riley Jimison on Patreon, really easy to find. Patreon members get early access to babies, discounts on merch, so on and so forth. Great perks, monthly Zoom meetings. It's a great community. Come have some fun. With that, catch you next week. Just a little hint. Next week should be pop wing carpets. A lot of them were in shed this week. So next week should be good. So don't miss. Alrighty. Later.